12 News breaking news now.
And that breaking news is a fast-moving brush fire called the Jones Fire. It's forced evacuations and shut down both directions of the US 60 in the town of Wickenburg.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tram Mai.
And I'm Troy Hayden. Maricopa County Department of Emergency Management issued a go evacuation order for the area near US 93. That's the main road that heads basically from Wickenburg and by way of the valley up to Las Vegas, and Zabel Mine Road from the railroad tracks west of the US 60 to east of the US 60.
Now, go status is the third stage of the Ready, Set, Go evacuation system. So that means that residents need to leave immediately because conditions there are getting worse. We want to go straight live to 12 News journalist Sean Rice. Sean, tell us exactly where you are and what you're seeing.
Yeah, Tram and Troy, good afternoon to you both. We are right off of the eastbound lanes of the US 60, right at the closure point. If you look over here just to my left, you can see an Arizona Department of Transportation truck, an Arizona State Trooper, and several other vehicles completely cutting off westbound traffic of the US 60. Travelers are having to detour to the 74 East, but if you're trying to go to Wickenburg or Nevada or any of these places, the 74 East takes you all the way around this area. So this is such a vital artery for travel through this area, of course, because of the fire. And then behind me, off in the distance, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 miles, you can see some of that smoke coming up in the air. It is reaching us, but of course this fire at this point is only about 100 acres in size. So the smoke is not very large, but we know in the river bottom where it is burning on either side of the 60, right just south of Wickenburg, there's a lot of fuel for the fire in and around that area. So we have not seen any cars here on the 60 since we've been here for the last 10 to 20 minutes because it is just completely shut down. It appears in both directions from what we can see. Here you see an Arizona State Trooper, multiple vehicles taking off. Just a very fluid situation here and just some major traffic impacts for folks who are traveling in this area. We did meet with a couple who's over here with us. They had to evacuate immediately from the Wickenburg area. They drove all the way to this checkpoint, if you will, or where they're cutting off traffic. But the gentleman just grabbed a bottle of water as much as he could, and he's traveling on foot back on westbound lanes of the US 60. That's the best they could do for him, was just say, go on foot, because he has multiple dogs. He has power that's out in and around his neighborhood in the Wickenburg area. So he just took off on foot because that's what people here in this area are faced with right now. So that fire actively burning and some major traffic impacts here on both sides of the US 60. Let's go now to Crystal Long for a further look at our traffic. Hey, Crystal.
Hey there. Okay, so here's the here and now on the roads, but keep in mind, it could be changing minute by minute, but starting with the wide zoomed out picture, you could see where the roadblocks land in comparison to those valley freeways. So it is a long stretch just to the north and west of the valley where the 60, all lanes taken away, both directions here. So first you're going to run into the barricades on the eastbound lanes in Wickenburg. Then for the westbound lanes, the cutoff begins in Morristown. This is a very long stretch of the 60. You're going to want to avoid that area at all costs, and ADOT right now says there's no way to even estimate when they're going to be able to pluck those suckers out and reopen those lanes. So you just have to completely take them out of the equation. Meantime, on all the side streets, things are going to be changing for emergency crews. And as the fire continues to spread, that can also create some additional stumbling blocks. So you have to know that things are going to continue to change, and you're just going to need another plan around this one. For example, if you are trying to hit the road to Vegas, the alternate route right now, about an hour on top of what it would normally be. You're going to want to take the 17 to State Route 69, 89A, then over to the 40, and then you can connect with the 93. So it's better to just delay travel at this time. Once again, bringing you back to just remind you, the 60, both directions, completely taken away between Wickenburg and Morristown at this time.
All right, Crystal, thank you so much for that update. Joining us now on the phone is Tiffany Davila with the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management. Tiffany, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, what can you tell us about this fire? What's the status right now?
Well, we've got multiple hand crews, engines. We have seats working, large air tankers. We've ordered some water scoopers. a lot of resources. I'd say about 100 plus personnel assigned, actively engaged to fight this fire. They're working along the east side, trying to secure it up along the US 60. And then on the northwest side of the fire, it's bumping up against the roundabout. So if you're familiar with Wickenburg, it's kind of bumping up against the roundabout there. So they're working to secure that side of the fire because there are some businesses, homes, and a school in that area.
Yeah, and I have to say, the crews that we watched from the air working, Tiffany, did a great job. Unfortunately, it looks like we lost some structures. It looks like it was multiple RVs maybe, or mobile homes in a park down there. What do you know about damage?
I know we've lost some structures, possibly some damaged structures, but we haven't been able to get back in there to assess the actual damages at this time. Crews right now are focused on full suppression and working to stop the fire's forward rate of progress.
Now, right now, our viewers are looking at old video that was taken roughly half hour ago or so. The new video that we had just seen, we got some live images from Sky 12. It looked like a lot of white smoke, and we only saw maybe, one major hot spot that crews were dousing. So what can you tell us as far as the fire right now? Are crews getting a better handle of it?
They're making good progress in conjunction with the aircraft. We're going to start to see more activity here soon. They're going to conduct a burnout operation, and they're going to work along a nearby road, burning out the fuel to kind of catch the fire on the north and northeast sides. And that's just one of the tactics that they're using on this fire. Again, we've got hand crews, engines, aircraft. We just placed an order for the water scoopers. So we have all of these resources working to stop this fire. And again, there is a go in place from Maricopa County Emergency Management. The US 60, like you said, is still closed in both directions at milepost 111.
All right, so quickly, this is my last question, Tiffany, then we're going to move on. But can you go over where your backburning is going to happen too? So people there in the Wickenburg area, so chances are they're going to see new fire, but that new fire is going to be you backburning, trying to keep the fire from spreading, correct? And where is that going to happen?
Correct. So we're up against the bridge on the US 60 in the Hassayampa River bottom. So along that side of the bridge, on the north side, kind of just south of where that roundabout is, as you're coming into Wickenburg from
that's like
Phoenix.
kind of the heart of town.
So they're going to be working. Yep, they're going to be working all along that area, doing some backburning to kind of tie in the head of the fire.
All right, Tiffany, thank you. And again, it's been great watching your crews here doing such a nice job of knocking this down. And I feel like, in a way, we're fortunate we didn't have a windier day today. But the fire danger is real and it's out there. So thank you so much for all you're doing. Maybe we can check in with you later. But thank you, Tiffany, for joining us.
Tiffany, thank you.
Thank you.
Right now, we want to go back out live to 12 News journalist Sean Rice. Sean, have you learned something new?
Nothing new in terms of information, Tram, but I want to bring you to an interview with the woman to my left. This is Nancy. She's here in her car at the closure point of the US 60 that we just brought you, and her husband just had to take off on foot to travel to their home, which I understand is in Wickenburg, kind of close to the fire line. You're in set status. Tell us what your family's faced with right now.
Well, we're about 5 miles away from here, so he was going up to get our dog and our meds, and but they won't let us through just to go up there. We're not in evacuation, but I mean, I know we don't need more people in the mess, but I thought that the fire had already passed us and was heading farther north, but they won't let us through.
When you had to leave the area in Wickenburg, I understand, what was it like conditions-wise in there when you guys took off?
We were down the hill.
Oh, down the hill, okay.
Appointment. Yeah, we were at a dentist appointment. All I got was the alert from APS that said our power had been cut because of fire, and that they were going to reinstate the power about 3:30. But then I got 1:35. It said the power's back on, but they won't let us go home. So.
What does it feel like to be in a current set status and see your husband have to walk on foot 6 miles that way? I imagine that's a sinking feeling. What does it feel like?
I don't like that. I don't like him there. He has ice, he has water, and he's a Marine, so he thinks he can do anything. Yeah.
Well, we wish you guys the best. Thank you for talking with us. So these are the situations families are faced with right now when the roadway like the 60, like I mentioned, a vital artery, the only way through from Morristown, the Valley, to Wickenburg. These are just what families are faced with right now. And as Roberto, my photographer, walks further down, it just gives you a better view at the complete cutoff that they have. You see the Arizona Department of Transportation truck cutting off all travel on the westbound 60. People are either being forced to travel back eastbound towards the valley or take the 74 east towards an area that is a long detour. You have to go further into Yavapai County, Prescott area, to try to then circle back through Congress back to Wickenburg if you have family in that direction. So this is what families are faced with right now, guys. It's just an unknown time in this area.
Yeah, well, Tram and I are both concerned about that gentleman. We know he's a Marine, and Marines can do anything. But, I mean, I think it's worth stating again. They can't get back in there. They want to get their dogs and their medicine. It's understandable. So he's going to hike, and wasn't it supposed to be 109 today? Probably a little cooler up there because it's higher.
6 miles.
6 miles in and 6 miles back, Sean, with the dogs and the medicine and the whole thing?
Right. That was his decision. That's the way Nancy described it to us. As soon as we got here on scene, he immediately took off on foot. We filmed him run down this hill that we're on and immediately go on foot to get the dogs, get the medicine, get a guitar that he talked about wanting to save if indeed his home potentially is on a go status instead of the current set status that they're on. We do see Southwest gas vehicles. We've seen some Arizona State Troopers and some Arizona Department of Transportation vehicles head in the westbound direction, but we've seen maybe a few, if any, regular cars or people who may live in that area allowed entry past this blockade. So it appears as though just EMS personnel, gas personnel, and fire personnel, law enforcement personnel as well, are the only people that are allowed to go past this blockade. And people are faced with decisions like that Marine is faced with right now.
Okay, but I'm wondering, considering the conditions, and it's not like, it's safe to walk the dogs back 6 miles either, but I'm just wondering that where that blockade is, crews are allowing people to walk back to their homes?
It's not evacuated, right? It's just you can't bring your vehicles on the 60.
It appears so. I mean,
or the 93.
Right. He took off, and we saw him get completely out of view. We did see some troopers follow him. I don't know if they were following exactly him or they were just going to the fire line. It wasn't clear, but you would hope that maybe one of those troopers sees him walking, understands the conditions, talks to him, or at least offers him a ride into that area. I suspect maybe that's what they were doing.
Yeah, I sure hope so.
Well, if you're still there, Sean, I don't know what your plans are for the rest of the evening, but I'd love to hear that man's story when he gets back. Thank you. All right, let's continue our coverage.
Yeah.
Right. We want to, on the phone with us right now is Bobby Jean Olson, the manager of the Western Trading Post. Bobby, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. And Western Trading Post is actually a multi-generational family-owned business. And we just recently built a new location here in Wickenburg. And first, I just want to say that our whole team is praying for every single individual that has been affected by this fire. This is such a powerful, close-knit community that truly cares about the people that live here. I mean, there's people, generations that have built businesses and homes, and people are scared.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I mean, like you yourself, generations with that Western Trading Post. Can you tell us, is your business maybe affected in this area that has been evacuated or near this fire that's been burning, the Jones Fire? Where are you?
So we are about a mile north of where the fire is at. We are 935 North Tegner Street. So we're about a mile away from it. We are not in the mandatory evacuation zone, but 3 hours ago we could see the smoke as we looked out our back doors and the haze that was coming in. 30 minutes ago, you could see the black smoke it looked a lot closer than a mile away. You could feel the heat, the ash coming through the air. And all of a sudden I looked at my husband and my mom and our son, and I'm like, okay, guys, we invested everything and moved up here. What do we do? Do we have a game plan? And that's when we all held hands and said, first, let's pray for everybody involved. And then if we are evacuated, I guess the most important thing is just to take us, the family, and go wherever they direct us to go, even if we do lose everything.
Well, I can hear in your voice, obviously this is very upsetting to you. If I can give you any reassurance, we are looking at pictures right now that are live from Sky 12, and it really does appear these fire crews have gotten a lot of equipment and a lot of manpower on this fire, and it looks like, and obviously things can change, it looks like they're winning the battle right now. Let me ask you this. When you knew you were on set status there, what are some of the things you grabbed? What did you get ready?
Well, we're still here at work.
Right.
You know, we're still in our business. So we didn't grab anything. We just started listening. We started making sure that if there was anybody in need that was in the area, that they could come in. You know, the traffic on the freeway is backed up right behind us. So we really didn't have too much foot traffic that came in. So we just kind of watched, listened, and waited. I bet, like so many other people in this community, until you start getting the phone calls and it starts telling you, okay, you know, what is it, ready, set, go?
Yes, it is ready,
Yeah.
set, go. And again, you are on the set status?
No, you know what? The calls just kept coming in, and we just kept saying, okay, where is that? Where is that? This street, this street. So I think we were just kind of preparing, letting our employees know, okay, you guys, if you want to leave right now, some of them don't live in town. We're like, let's find a safe path for you to get home. It'll probably take 2 hours, you know, just kind of first off making sure that the employees were safe and could go at any time.
Yeah, that's a good point, because, you know, as you were saying, not all of your employees live right there in Wickenburg, and essentially the town is kind of cut off, right, in both directions. You know, if you're trying to get to, I guess, can you get out of Wickenburg? I guess you can. If you even want to get out, can you get out if you're down there?
I think if you go down Vulture Mine Road, from what we've heard, now we have not left our building. We've been just kind of watching and seeing what we needed to do, who we could help, and just wait and pray, honestly. Already praying for the people that were evacuated and are at the Red Cross has set up a place at the high school. Imagine what's going through their minds. Yeah. You know, everybody's got to be terrified.
Yeah, it's just such an awful situation. But if it is any consolation, Bobby Jean, you know, nobody has been hurt. Everybody is safe. It looks to be, I mean, judging from what we are seeing right now from Sky 12, these are live photos. It looks like crews are just trying to really attack this building that has been burning for quite some time. And there's some flames, it looks like, just a couple of feet away from it towards the right. But not to alarm you or any of the viewers, in case they are watching, that as they try to get a hold of this fire, because the brush is so heavy, the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management, they will be conducting a burnout operation. That's going to be along the bridge, north of the bridge, near the roundabout. So no reason to worry. And again, winds, it's pretty much pretty tame for the most part. So hopefully everything will be under control and contained. But again, Bobby Jean, we really appreciate your time, and
thank you, Bobby Jean, for talking with us.
Everybody stay safe.
Yeah, well, and I just want to say for everybody that's been affected by this, that as long as we have our lives, we have each other, and we can keep our faith, we can rebuild. And we'll do it all together.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing that I think we all have to remember.
Yeah. No reports of any injuries, thank goodness.
Good thoughts, Bobby Jean. Thank you.
Jean, thank you. All right.
Thank you for all you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay safe. All right. We want to take a turn right now. Check our forecasts. Chris, we've been saying that the winds, thank goodness, they have not picked up. So in a situation like this, you know, things pretty Mother Nature, besides from the dry conditions and the heat, it's you know, could be worse.
Yeah, you know, a couple of takeaways, Tram, that I have been watching since we saw the beginnings of this fire. One, as a number of resources on the ground and in the air. They have been attacking this fire and really hitting it hard. And two is the wind situation that you just mentioned. Look at the winds across the valley, less than 10 miles an hour. 5-mile-per-hour winds in Glendale, and the same for the Wickenburg area as well. If we had a gusty situation, 20, 25-mile-per-hour winds, we would be talking about a lot different situation. But the wind's really helping us out. Our temperatures, though, and the humidity, certainly not. These are right now. Temperatures 110 in Sun City, 106 in Tempe, 108 in Phoenix, and we topped out at our forecast high of 109 degrees. Normal is 93. We have one more extreme heat day in the forecast and then a cooling trend that'll take us into the weekend. We'll talk about that later on. Back to you.
Chris, thank you. And we'll get back to the Wickenburg fire as developments warrant, but it looks like